Well, welcome. It's an honor to be here with you this morning. I want to take you on a little journey that I've been through over the last year or two. Our company, my company, has made buildings energy efficient and homes energy efficient for the last many years, and we've had products and services in some 70,000 different projects. But as I toured the country and talked to homeowners and talked to building owners and talked to Congress, I became aware of another bigger cause here, and I want to share that with you and some of the things that I learned in a short 14 or 15-minute period, because this was an awakening for me. You know, when I grew up, and to this day, really, America's number one. I mean, number one in everything. We were the superpower, whatever that means to you. But we might wake up very shortly and find out we're number two in virtually everything. And how will that feel? Because I am sure, like everyone in this audience, I grew up patriotic. I grew up really proud of this country, proud of what we achieved, proud of our innovation, proud of what we invent, how we invent it, the businesses, the technology, the IT over the last 30 years has been unbelievable, and it's all been driven in America. And that's something we are all exceptionally proud of, exceptionally. But what happens when this reality is the case? Because this is the reality today. This is the reality today. That's where we lie in the world, on all of those areas. And you could do a whole talk on any one of those areas. But here's where we're number one. Yes, obesity, gun ownership, and debt. Okay, we don't want to be number one in those. We want to be number one in the other things. Now go back just a little while, and for the last 150 to 200 years, we invented virtually everything of any substance in the entire world. It's been an unbelievable society by any stretch of any imagination. We've never seen anything like it, and it started with the Industrial Revolution, which was not ours. We stole it from Great Britain. We literally stole it from Great Britain, and we took it over, and since the early 1900s, we have been the industrial superpower, the military superpower, the intelligence superpower. This is what our grandfathers, fathers before them, our fathers brought to us. This is what they built America on. And it's been amazing what we could do, and in fact, what we did with World War II. We took Ford and GM, can you imagine this? And within 3 months, turned them into factories to make airplanes. They made 13,000 bombers and fighter planes in World War II. It was a car factory a few weeks before. Unbelievable what this country could do when we put our mind to it and when we had to. But this is what our infrastructure looks like today. I don't even have to give you words. This is what our fathers and grandfathers and fathers before them gave us and what we've destroyed and walked away from. And that's left much of this country out of work. And our infrastructure for education, which was the best in the world, revered in the world until a decade or two ago, is now not revered anymore. Our debt, our U.S. government spending as a percentage of GDP continues to grow out of control, as if we're the richest country in the world, which we're not really heading towards anymore. Healthcare, pensions, and other things are out of control. Our spend is like we're just on a wild, wild ride. And our debt, our gross public debt, this is state and federal together, is heading towards $25 trillion. How will we ever pay for this? But in the midst of this despair, there may be opportunity. And while you already heard a little bit about climate change to me is actually science, not politics. This is science, period. There's no argument about it, so get past it. But where there is science that tells us we've got a problem, there's opportunity, because that's what America does. We look for problems and we say, we're going to solve this, and we can solve this. Absolutely. We can solve it because when we analyze where we're using energy and how we're using energy, the kind of energy we're using, it's all fossil fuel based. It's sad that wind and solar is still less than 1% of the world's energy supply. That's an opportunity. Another opportunity is where are we using that energy and where does it go? Did you know that building operations and building material add up to 52%? Cars, I know we use our cars in California, are only 9%. So there's opportunities around the pie. And America is inventing. In fact, in many of these areas, we are absolutely the leading inventor in the world, both on the supply side and on the efficiency or the demand side. Tremendous opportunities to remake motors and appliances, you name it. We get to rethink everything because everything can change since the old Industrial Revolution. However, guess what? We didn't think of this alone. Someone else thought of it. China has, for the last 8 years, been on a tear to own this next Industrial Revolution. Now, they're not playing fair. They're limiting exports of rare earth metals. They don't let their currency float. They're giving free plants to our companies to come there for free. They're investing like crazy in R&D and LEDs and everything else, and they don't care because they're going to win this industrial revolution. They're going to do to us what we did to Great Britain. And look at their GDP. It's only over the last 6 or 7 years that it's on a tear, and it's about to surpass us in the next 10 and possibly in the next 5. That's the road they're on. We will be number 2. We will be the number 2 economy. This is a project that we got to work on. It's the Empire State Building, built in 1931, best-known building in the world, according to the owner of the building. And Tony Melkin, that's what he says. And we got to redo all the windows in the Empire State Building to make it energy efficient. We took dual-pane windows, made them 4 times better, 6,514 windows, 26,000 panes of glass, saving that kind of money per year. And guess what? We did it 3 months early, and we reused all the glass. Nobody's ever done that before. Yet, at the same time, I went over to the Willis Tower in Chicago, looked at that, 16,000 windows. I went in their mechanical room. It was built in 1970, 71. Everything in there was made in the U.S., made in America. And guess what? They're trying to redo that building. They can't find a single thing that's in that mechanical room that they could still buy from an American company today. You can't buy it. And this is the reason why. Look at that chart. We used to make almost 50% of the world's goods. Today, we make less than 20%. And yet we're living as if we still make and export 50% of the world's goods. We don't. So you got to turn this curve around. You can't make nothing and sit here. The cumulative trade deficit is about $8 trillion now, and it's all piled up since the 80s. We just do not export enough to pay back this debt, and we got to fix it. Now, here's the positive things. What does America still do well? Our IP, venture capital, public market capital, our universities are still the best in the world in entrepreneurship and mostly disruptive innovation. We are still the most innovative and disruptively innovative society that Earth has ever seen. And I'll give you a couple of examples of disruptive innovation. Probably the best example I can think of today is this gentleman right here, heading to possibly a $200 billion revenue a year company I just read this week. Steve Jobs has continually, over the last 10 years, been extremely disruptive. In music, he shows up at a company that's nearly dead and says, I know, we'll come out with a music player. Are you crazy? Turns that into an operating system for an advanced music player, iPod Touch, turns that into a phone. A computer company making a phone. Couldn't think of this 6, 7, 8 years ago. And finally, the iPad has sold over 15 million units in a year. Unbelievable. That's disruptive innovation. It's happening right here in America. And yes, you can argue whether these companies are worth this or not, but Zynga has disrupted the way games are played and the way they're used. Groupon has disrupted the way people buy. And this is happening worldwide. These inventions are happening in the US. So they're happening in real life. They're happening online. Facebook absolutely has touched everybody in this room in different ways. Whether we like it, not productive, it's absolutely disruptive to a lot of the things and the ways we used to do them. We've been disruptive at Surace in a lot of ways. For instance, we reinvented drywall after over 200 years, and we made a drywall panel called Quiet Rock that is equivalent to 6 or 8 layers of regular drywall in terms of how quiet it is. We reinvented windows. We've got windows now that are 300% and 400% more insulative than a dual pane window. Unbelievable. That's what we did in the Empire State Building. We reinvented the way buildings are managed, and we're now managing buildings with our Surace Energy Manager software cloud-based system that runs all of the energy through and how it works through algorithms instead of people, because the algorithms can process that and save 25% in buildings. Here's an example of plants we rescued. We rescued many throughout the country where we brought our technology and remade these plants. This is a union that did a sit-in Chicago because the owner stole all the equipment and shut down the plant. They did a sit-in in the plant to try to get their 60 days of severance. Lots of crazy people showed up. See, some of you recognize him. He showed up too. Everybody showed up. They want to be on the media. And the next thing you know, they're picketing outside of Bank of America. And guess what? Bank of America capitulated, gave them their 60 days of money. However, when I got there, the plant was empty. Why was the plant empty? Well, they lost their jobs. Everything was closed. And I can give many plants examples of this. This is in December 2008. I pick up the oldest phone I can find. I call the union. We partner. We buy the plant, and we send this guy to jail, and he's in jail today. So, we can still win, and we're going to win. And we're going to win because China has its issues as well. While we have our issues, they have a different set of issues that I wouldn't want. Innovation is not in their culture today. It's very difficult for them to do. They're scared of our innovation capability. They've got a communist government, limited IP protection, which is not going to help them, environmental issues, and an aging population that is aging faster than their workforce can come in because of the one-child policy. That's going to be a serious burden on that economy. So it's quite possible we will win. And we did win before. You know, we saw the Soviet Union do something that frankly scared the heck out of us, didn't it? In 1957, they launched Sputnik, and what did it do in this country? Everyone ran into science. Everyone ran into science. Why? Because we couldn't possibly think of how that, what to us was a backward country, could put that thing up there when we couldn't. And we were the unrivaled leader for a very long time. I just visited the Jet Propulsion Laboratory a couple of weeks ago. These are my pictures from JPL. Jet Propulsion Laboratory manages all of our interplanetary probes out there. This is the brand new, it happened to be in the clean room that day, so I took pictures of it, brand new Mars mission that's going up, $2.6 billion mission, the most sophisticated remote laboratory ever built, ever designed by humankind. And this kind of innovation continues in the green building space. Net zero energy buildings that are made in factories cheaper than you could make them on site. This is happening in Sacramento, by the way. Brand new chemicals that are using renewable feedstocks instead of oil and gas. Which is a huge, huge market. Cement that's being made that absorbs CO2 in its manufacturing process. Bloom boxes that can use a variety of different kinds of fuels to generate less CO2 and generate electricity on site. We've got a brand new architecture for managing lighting that saves 30, 40, 50% or more. Smart grid applications like Silver Spring and others. Bricks, brand new bricks being made. There's a factory now in Wisconsin doing this for CalStar. And guess what? This country actually went to work and made our steel production the most productive in the world. We can now make a ton of steel with 1 man-hour, and that's 4 or 5 times better than anywhere else in the world because we had to own that industry. So that's what's happened. Even in our old industries, we are being extremely innovative. So this really brings us to what you can do and what we can all do together. Why are we educating PhD students, PhDs, giving them degrees here and sending them back home? That's dumb. Let's keep them here, okay? Let's leave them here when they graduate from our universities. Let's repatriate $1.3 trillion of profits that are sitting overseas from U.S. companies. Invest in our education system and do it in a meaningful way like we did after Sputnik. Require China and others to play fair. It's enough. We've had it with this, letting them play unfair. They got to play on the same playing field we are. Incentivize our citizens to buy American. And most importantly, easiest to do exactly what Arizona has just done over the last year. Incentivize companies to build their plants here. So you invent here, you manufacture here, you install here, and you export from here. They did it, and a Chinese company came and built their solar plant in Arizona so they could take advantage of the Arizona tax breaks, because you can't get them unless you build the solar panels in Arizona. Brilliant move by Arizona. We can do it nationwide and continue to out-innovate, because that is what we've done as a society in America for 100+ years. This, you saw a picture of this earlier. This is actually high-resolution footage of the actual Apollo 11 launch, rarely seen actually, and it's an high-def version of this. This is the actual launch of Apollo 11, 1969. I watched this on television. Many of you in the audience weren't old enough. Some of you did watch it on TV as well. This is the epitome of the world looking at America in awe in 1969. Going to the moon on little more than a watch worth of CPU horsepower. Unbelievable what we did in '69, and we did it because we pulled together and said we had to. And this ushered in an incredible era of invention in this country, and intelligence in this country, and innovation in this country. Now, for me, I have to think of what we're going to leave our kids and our grandkids and the children after them. Because I want them to grow up the way I did. I want them to stand back and go, I'm proud of America. It's the most innovative, free land that protects our intellectual property, educates our people, and wins worldwide all the time, 100% on innovation and economy, and we've got to do it. Now, if we're going to do that, we're going to do exactly what this sign over here says: people, passion, possibilities, and make a difference. And that means everyone in here, if I've left you with one idea today, take that idea and execute that idea, and please make a difference. Buy American and think about this country. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.